A warm welcome to you and thank you for giving us your time. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. In a bit, we'll be going to our newspaper headlines to see all that we have for you this morning. And right after that, in a jiffy also would be our main conversation for today. Please do well to be part of our community. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. With me today in the studios to do justice to all that we have, newspaper headlines, and if possible, take us through on our main conversation is Cyril Abaku, journalist and public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Cyril, and thank you. Thank you so very much for your time.
My pleasure. I'm glad
All right,
to be here.
beautiful. Now let's kickstart today with a very interesting story we have just before we get into other matters making rounds in the newspapers, and it's about Bobrisky, who is alleged to have sued the Efcc, the National Assembly, and demanded 1.2 billion naira while addressing leaked video. We have it here that controversial cross-dresser Idris Bobrisky Okoneye has filed a lawsuit against the Efcc and the National Assembly, alleging that they violated his fundamental rights. Bobrisky has been embroiled in a controversy since social media influencer Martin's VDM Otse leaked an audio recording alleging that he paid the EFCC 15 million naira to drop money laundering charges against him. Cyril Abaku, let's look at this particular matter because, of course, it's making rounds around different social media platforms. But do you think this in any way is making sense? He would have said all of these things while he was in Nigeria, but of course he's no longer in Nigeria, and he's making these allegations against all those concerned. How does this matter to us?
Well, I came upon a quote yesterday. They say, "The truth has no friends."
Okay.
I love my country, and it pains me to always find myself being critical of everything that happens, within the sphere. But the truth is the truth. We can't shy away from it. But the manner in which Bobrisky left Nigeria remains, I think, the reason, the justification for what you're seeing now. Because he had been arrested, charged to court, tried, convicted, sentenced, then released. Then controversy came. Then, in the face of controversy, he was trying to leave the country through some border. I'm summarizing the matter. He was arrested and brought back to Nigeria. They said he was a person of interest.
Yeah.
Even if there were no grounds really for, but he was arrested. Then, the next we had was that he had been taken to the police CID office. There he said he had body aches and pains, and he was taken to the hospital. The next we had was that he was on a flight trying to leave Nigeria. He was again arrested by the EFCC and brought back to, so when arrested, where did they take him to? Because if you have grounds for arrest, then there should be suspicion why you're arresting the person, which ideally should give rise to you charging the person to court.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. The next thing we had was that he had flown out of Nigeria. Did he escape? Did he fly? Did he disappear? If all of that happened, then has anybody bothered to ask why and how? The FCC didn't tell us anything. Now that he has left Nigeria, he is suing. He's counter-suing. This whole thing looks like a kangaroo republic arrangement kind of thing.
From who exactly?
Well, I don't know. From the authorities, obviously. Let's ask the EFCC, why did they arrest him from the plane the first time he was traveling? What was the reason for his arrest? Because he like I said, after he was taken to court and set free and served his time in prison and came out, there were allegations of irregularity in the way he was he served his term, that he had been given VIP treatment and then there was an investigation that actually indicted the prison system.
Yeah.
So nobody has said anything about it. Have you suspended those who were involved? Have you tried to investigate further? Have you tried to bring him in for questioning, to also ask him, did you have a phone? Were you watching television? Etc, etc. Of course, there was the voice recording. But the fact that the system wasn't willing to take any further step after VDM said what he said, and after even a panel of investigation now, we saw the findings. Yeah. They were grounds for further litigation, if that's the word to use, or for further criminal proceedings. The government stopped short of doing that. Then anytime he wanted to travel, they arrested him. It looked as if some people were trying to fiddle with his rights.
Okay.
In the end, he has run out of the country, and he's not the one suing.
Now, I have two
doesn't
questions.
look distasteful.
Very true. I have two questions for you just before we leave this particular matter. Number one, do you think he has a case? Okay, with suing the EFCC, the National Assembly, do you think he has a case? Now, this equally brings me to the second question, the issue of godfatherism. At every point in the leaked video, he talked about his godfathers ensuring that this is done, that is done, and all that. Now, speak to us on that. Are we having a polluted system where anything goes and nobody seems to be talking about it?
I wonder if this is a question you can't answer yourself. But the fact remains that clearly the man's ordeals were the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. It was very clear. And I said that time and again, that this man has offended somebody. You know how we say in Nigeria, who are your friend, or who you offend. In this case, it's not his village people, as people like to say. There's somebody that this man must have offended, that had the capacity to use the entire system to come after him. And how even Bobrisky went to plead guilty to spraying money and so on. The whole thing is just very funny. But the fact is, clearly somebody wanted to use the system as collateral to deal with him. And the person, I think, succeeded to a very large extent. It is the reason he has fled, and is now counter-suing. He's now suing the EFCC and suing National Assembly together. This is a caricature. Look. We are long ways from nationhood. From values. I say this again and again, from values. You see, like I always say, Bobrisky is not a hero.
Okay.
He didn't represent anything positive, anything meaningful for me or for our children. But the point is, why didn't the government face the matter squarely and take matter of circulation if they wanted to? By legal means. They wouldn't do that. They'd rather go play hanky-panky. Now he has fled. This is international news.
But don't you think, on a light mood though, don't you think this will be another case of Chidinma Adetshina?
How?
Who was rejected in South Africa and came to Nigeria and became a superstar representing the world, representing Africa. We might say Bobrisky has no value in Nigeria because of his belief system. He might have some value in this place that he has found himself now. So don't you think we might have a repeat of the same thing, even if it's not in the same...
I wish him good luck. He will take on British citizenship and become a Briton, and then they send to Nigeria as the ambassador to High Commissioner to Nigeria. Let that day come.
All right, very well said. But let's get into what's happening today with the Vanguard newspaper. Big story here. LCCI has born an analyst orders a big holes in 2025 budget. We have on the top strip here, Dangote Refinery $6 billion to import crude. Sit at home. Gunmen kill 5 security operatives. PG critical injured in Anambra and Abia. Nigeria must address 6% tax to GDP rate, and Speaker Abbas and presidency to Obasanjo. Nigeria's economic woes began in your government. Cyril, let's talk on this particular matter. Days back, just 2 days back, Obasanjo said something very critical, addressed his old friend, the now current president of Nigeria, on how he is going about his governance structure. And now presidency has replied that the woes of Nigeria actually started from his government. I would love you to juxtapose both.
It is simply a counterpunch. This is the presidency fighting back. But Nigeria's woes, when did they really begin? I honestly, anybody could say it was Abacha, some could say it was Babangida, some could say it was Shagari, some could say it was even Murtala Mohammed, some could say it was Yakubu Gowon. But when we return to democracy, Obasanjo didn't do all the right things he could have done, obviously.
So what are the key things he would have done that would have changed the dynamic?
Well, so for example, for those of us who believe in restructuring the country for efficiency, to curb waste, right, he could have done something about the constitution. When Bola Ige, of blessed memory, went to Abuja to take up his work as minister, at the airport, a convoy of 34 cars came to pick him at the airport. 34 cars to pick one man at the airport. What were they doing with that? That's wanton waste. Somebody could say that pattern was there even before Obasanjo came. But the point is, what did the Obasanjo do to curb waste in government? Obasanjo spent $16 billion on power.
That didn't work.
Well, you are the one that said it didn't work. They call it NIPP. Before then, he has maybe before or inclusive, he gave 2.7 billion naira to Chief Bola Ige. Because Bola Ige, though he was a lawyer, came in initially in 1999. He was appointed Minister of Power and Steel. I can't forget. He was going 2.7. That money was warehoused in a bank.
Because Bola Ige equally said, I can remember that he could fix a power in less than a couple of...
He was given 2.7 billion. I can't forget. 1999. Where did the money go? And as president, what did he do? Because if you say Obasanjo couldn't have, Fabian Osuji was fired as Minister of Education. You recall 2005. Yes, he was fired. Obasanjo fired. He fired Babalola Borishade. He fired a number of them like that. Babalola Borishade was fired. You know, Obasanjo's time. I mean, you still had even Graham, Chief Alaba Dr. Graham. What was his first name now? Graham Douglas, anyway, Minister of Labor and Productivity. Was also fired. I mean, he had Obasanjo can't be said to a man who didn't do because he didn't know what to do. He was a man who knew very well
what to do.
How did he get into jail in the first place? You know, after he left office, he wrote open letter against Shagari. He wrote another one against Buhari. He wrote another one against Babangida. He wrote against all. It was only a Abacha that said, that hand you're using to write, I can put to better work. He put him behind bars. He wrote against Yaradua's term was short-lived, right? He wrote against Jonathan. He wrote against Buhari. He has written against all of them. How do you not know what to do, what you should do, but know what everyone else should have done? Obasanjo's problem wasn't because he didn't know what to do. You see, Obasanjo is someone who, arguably, Nigeria's finest and best, Nigeria's post-war finest and best, rallied around. You know, till today, he's like the father of modern Nigeria.
Yeah, very well.
After Zik, he is the second most pan-Nigerian person. If you look, Nigeria's finest brains rallied around him. Look at today.
Until today, it's still being revered across Africa. Wherever you have, that very
you could even look at him as
Obasanjo is always there.
After Mandela, in the post-independence fathers era, after Mandela, Obasanjo looks like the next best thing happened to even Africa.
Africa, very well.
So how do you not know what to do? He knew what to do. Obasanjo came into office in 1999. There was Chief Bimbo Gunkelu. Bimbo Gunkelu was Minister of African Integration, not just Foreign Affairs, African Integration. And that is one office I think should come back, even if you make it a directorate in the presidency. Because Nigeria's places isn't just about Nigeria as the biggest black nation in the world. Nigeria owes global Africa I always say it.
Yes.
We owe global Africa leadership as the bellwether nation. So having a director or even a cabinet level person working on African integration is worth it. Obasanjo had that vision. He appointed Bishop Bimbo Gunkelu. How did he not know what to do?
Now, as much as, of course, we understand what Obasanjo did not do, is this enough reason for the current government, all right, to continue in the same style, which, of course, we want to believe has totally crippled what was left of Nigeria?
I agree with you. Yes. Now, the point is that it is not. And in my view, frankly speaking, it may be impolitic that somebody attacked you and you didn't attack back. You're not in the church. Unless you will say you are led by the Spirit. Yeah. So somebody attacks okay, let me not say even attack back. You don't respond. It is not political at all. It's not politics. But my thought would be for them to specifically point to things that he didn't do, that they, in a year, have done.
Done?
Yes.
Like what?
No, I said I wish that they could point to such things.
Like they point to things Obasanjo did not do
that they have done in 1 year, okay, and that has made Nigeria a better country. You know what I mean?
LGA autonomy. I think that's
what have they done? I can tell you, there's no LGA autonomy anywhere. What they should have now done, look, you see, because Nigerian federalism anyway isn't LGA autonomy isn't Nigerian federalism actually. Okay. But they've done it. Then they went and secured a moratorium of 3 months with the governors to allow the governors to appoint their stooges and their
as much as they can.
Then they are waiting for when they will be conducting elections into local government areas. What does that? Isn't that military democracy? We wait to see. But but honestly, Obasanjo and the presidency is like 6.5 a dozen. I really don't know who who holds a better record than the other.
All right, so let's get to Daily Trust just before we leave for today. The big story here: Northern reps raise fresh concerns over tax reform bills. We have a couple of writers here. Say region plagued by insecurity, low productivity. It is unfair for Lagos, Rivers, FCT to have 70% of VAT proceeds. That's coming from FIRS boss. Wow. FIRS boss is actually saying this himself. We will be guided by a national interest, and that's coming from Dogoa. And we have on the top strip here, G20 leaders inaugurate global alliance to end hunger. Auditor General uncovers 3.4 trillion naira fraud in MDAs. A court quashes NBC's fine against Trust TV, limits commission and the power. On the bottom strip we have you are a hypocrite, presidency fires back at Obasanjo. Cyril Abak, we have two very interesting issues here. I'd love us to, if possible, merge them together and talk about them. Number one is on the tax reform. And if the FIRS boss is himself saying it's unfair for Lagos, Rivers, FCT to have 70% of the VAT proceed, isn't he shooting himself indirectly?
Well, I hope he was not quoted out of context. But let me say, because I didn't see that story, but I would like to go over it when I'm able to be able to give informed opinion. The current VAT regime is what they're trying to upturn. And I think that the actual thing government should do is to scrap VAT.
To scrap VAT.
Allow the states collect their taxes by themselves.
The same states that we know have not been good at managing funds.
Well, the money belongs to them. Who gave back to the federal government? We did. The money belongs to us. We are only supposed to give them some stipends to run foreign affairs, aviation, and so on. The money belongs to us.
But when the money that belongs to us, it's believed not to be managed well. Don't you think that's even the reason why we have a government at the center?
People who will be critical of you will also ask you whether the government at the center has managed what we have well. You know what I mean?
So if you compare both, who do you think have managed well?
No, but the money. So this is not about money managing well. It's about where the money ought to go first of all.
Okay.
Corruption is a Nigerian problem. In America, local government areas have airports. We should be ashamed of this thing we are doing here. Local government areas own airports in America. Life is not like this. This thing we are doing in this country is like saying that they are baptizing children with with muddy water. Therefore, we should cancel it.
But the truth remains, when we have a not so good electoral system, when you talk about some LGAs having strips for planes, it is because the electoral system allow for election of the right people.
So then, is the question of structure or process. Let's have the right structure first. It's like when you're in manufacturing, you know, you have the mold, then you pour the whatever, then when it is strong, it is formed. So let's first of all have the right structure first. Don't let the argument, people use one thing to just cover any other thing. As you are here with me on this table, you may not even be happy about the state you're in.
Yeah, very well.
That is your home state. You're arguing and saying that, look at, for example, the Igedes of Nigeria. They are in 4 local government areas. 2 in Cross River, 2 in Benue. Somebody is clearly dividing them to weaken them. That's what it means. The jaw of Nigeria, we are in, everywhere we are in minority. Except in Bayelsa, where we are the only tribe. Is that proper? Somebody is trying to weaken us. We are in Ondo, we cannot speak. We are in Rivers, we are minority. We are in Delta, we are in Edo. People, look, what we have said in this country is straightforward. People are cutting to states without their agreement, without their buy-in. You just hear one day from military radio that there's a new state and you've been cutting to where you won't have a say. your number soon count. You have nothing.
Brothers having 2 identities of a place.
One, you get the people are in Cross River. You get the people are the another from Cross River. They get it. They get it. They look at the what's it called? The people they want the baggy. For example, imagine that Nigeria that would have a baggy state. Is that fair? The baggies are in Abuja. I think Abuja is actually baggy. You have Kaduna. You have all this. They are Kaduna. In fact, they tell that people that they are in Abuja, Niger, I think, then Kaduna also. But given their size and their landmass, because they don't have a state, they are suffering actually. If you want to, you can go. You can research on them. So it is funny. Now the point is this: with that kind of first, I'm in a state. I didn't make myself into that state. It was forced on me.
Yeah.
Yet I also can't manage my resources. Somebody else has to dictate for me what to do. It's not fair. Let us have a real. Meanwhile, before independence in 57, 58, because of minority agitations, they had to go back to Lancaster to say, okay, you know what? Let's protect minority rights. It was the reason as soon as Ado Dababiri and Co had chance to create states, 12 states, during Ojuku's rebellion, yes. They said they won't join Biafra. They ran to go and to say, cut states into 12. They cut it. What they were looking for was identity. So this is how culture feeds even economics. But we don't have these discussions. Everything is who brought VAT? VAT was brought in 1996 or 1997 by Carlo Dika Carlo from the IMF. We told Abacha, let's take it and give to the states. Henry, it is not particularly a good thing that people who don't consume certain products, when they collect VAT in Abuja, they will share and they will still take money. So let us face it. When we start doing VAT, the real argument about VAT isn't or resource control is not about corruption. The real argument is this: when you start eating what you produce, you wake up to produce more. That is the real argument.
Now I get it.
That is the real argument. Yes.
Now I get it.
When you produce what you eat, you wake up. That's the real argument.
And not sitting back and being spoon-fed.
And then upon being spoon-fed, you now come to the table and begin to dictate terms. Hey, don't get it, like we all come to the table. I'm bringing the food. You that didn't bring anything because of the prefect, the food prefect who is sharing the food. You will even imagine that the food prefect is from your village. Me, I bring the food. He will now speak language to you on the same table and give you the lion's share. It's not done that way.
All right.
If you be corrupt in your own backyard. But be corrupt with your own food. Okay. Let me produce my own food, and so when we now compare those, we'll see.
So do as much hisba as you like in your place.
Now you talk that one now.
All right, just before we leave, please, 60 seconds. Trump to use military for mass deportation. He is just about to get into position in January, and already he's planning using the military for mass deportation. What does this mean for Nigerians, if it's possible?
Well, so I don't think anybody has anything to fear. It is irregular, illegal migrants that have everything to be worried about. You have a visa that is valid, it's tourist visa, school visa. But during the people will still flight America from Nigeria to do business and do other things. And I don't think it gives Nigeria a good image that people from our country are going there, for example, illegally and causing trouble. That doesn't always speak for fact. So it's for me. I have no case against Mr. Trump.
Okay.
So he was my candidate before the election. He's my president when he's sworn in.
All right, that's just about the size of our package for this particular segment. Thank you so very much, Cyril, for being part of it. And when we return, Tinubu joins the G20 leaders in Brazil to discuss hunger and energy transition. That in a bit. Still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.